Hey there viewers, and welcome back to the South Main Auto Channel. So we're going to get started back on the Jeep. Our last video we did the rear lower control arms, the rear upper adjustable A-arm from Iron Rock Off-Road, put the springs in, kind of fiddle with some stuff. There's a few things we have to get. We left off with, we need to mount the rear sway bar. I don't have a ton of time today, so that's probably all we're going to do in this video. You are going to notice, though, if you're keen and observant, that yes, my shocks are flipped around. So I did buy a new Addco rear sway bar, so it's a heavier duty sway bar. It kind of defeats the purpose of, having good articulation in the rear. However, I did mention that, this vehicle has to be, streetable. So hopefully this will help keep a little bit of the body roll out of it. Now these are the sway bar links that come in the Iron Rock Off-Road kit, and you have to just pop the bushings in. They're kind of an hourglass shaped bushing, and then they have their steel bushing that goes on the inside, and they're just going to mount right back up where the factory ones did. So we'll slip them up in there. I'm assuming we're using the original hardware. Let me gobble that up and never sees. So that way they never get frozen on bushings if we ever have to take them back out. I'm just going to do the same thing over on the other side. So here's the new sway bar, quite a bit heavier than the OEM one. And the links must go on the inside portion of it. Probably put a nut on there. Just so it doesn't fall off. Alright. Whoa. Then we should be able to put our bar brackets on. Which it came with new brackets and new bushings. Of course, it has to have new bushings because, obviously they're bigger. Now I did notice, got one of the factory, saddles here, and it does look like that, that should fit in there, but they made them just a smidge too wide, so you cannot use your factory brackets. It just sits, it would just end up, smashing up your bushing. So you see that, don't just throw that on there in a hurry. So let's take and flick these on. Let's give them a little shot of fluid film. Keep it slippery. Stick them over the bar, do the other one. And then I assume we're using the factory hardware on the bottom. It did come with new nuts and bolts, with nylocks. I suppose if you're, the welded nut on the inside, if that stripped out or broke off, you could just use the hardware that they send with it. We should be able to get them on. Yeah, we might have to lift up the rear end just a smidge. Let's see here. Sorry, get one started on the other side. Bolt hole's gonna line up or not. Well, it doesn't look like they cut the slots in the lower brackets quite enough. Probably should check that first, I guess. Let's see if the bracket by itself fits. That's about a half a hole off. Awesome. That sucks. I think what we'll do, oops, drop everything on the floor. sway bar links themselves back off then, because it's not really quite a half a hole. It's probably exaggerating there. It's probably more like a quarter of a hole. So I think what we'll do is just, get it to pinch a little bit. We'll tighten up the top one, up in the bottom of its hole, stick the tripod under it, or floor jack wherever, and just push it just enough to get the bolt in. I think might be our best bet. Yeah, I'm not lying, it is about a half a hole. We'll see how this works. I think we'll have to use on a little bit of an angle here. Pretty springy. I can see probably 7/8 of the hole, and these bolts do have a taper on the front of them. Find some kind of tool here. That wasn't so bad, was it? There. So I assume we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Probably just as easily do that with a floor jack. All it needs to do is pinch in on the bushing a little bit. Let's see, where were we? I'm going to let it down. I got to jack the rear end up a little bit so I can get the sway bar links to line up. Not take it off the lift, but just enough. Our bolt should be able to line up a little bit easier now. There's that. I assume the washer and the nut go out here. It only makes sense. So we'll get them on both sides and snugged up, and I think this is pretty well lit for the rear sway bar. There it is. Seems to fit pretty well. I'm going to end up taking it back off here probably in the near future to put the locker in the rear differential. We'll take it off so we can gain access to the cover there. So where does that leave us? This side here I took the park and brake cable and ABS wire and ended up moving, just so the wire fit better, the rubbers on the ABS wire, just stick a pick behind them, break the glue loose, and you can kind of, set them where you want. And then I put the factory, retainers back on it, and then essentially just pulled the wire so it's tight. And then we had more, more slack up top, and then just a couple zip ties. I did end up moving the rear diff vent. This goes all the way up through, over around and up by the gas filler neck. Of course, we're going to take this back off when we figure out what we're going to do with the rear brake hose there. And then I didn't bother hooking up this side yet because, as I mentioned, we're going to get a new park and brake cable. Plus, we have to fix that brake line there. So I kind of left this side as it is for the time being. And I think that's about it. I do have to cut it short today. Oh, I did double check, make sure that all 3 joints here did take grease, and they do. They take grease quite easily. And I think that was it for right now, folks. We're gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave you hanging. All right, guys, like I said, we're gonna have to leave it at that. Got a pile of stuff to do at home today. So I'm just gonna leave the shop mess. Probably come back later, take care of some things. If I do start working on it again, I'll definitely throw on the camera and see what we can do. However, I do need my lift on Monday. So I may not start on the front because I still gotta be able to pull it outside and that kind of stuff. Find us around, look for the other videos on the Debbie J, and if you want to keep up with them, click subscribe, ring that bell. Find us around our socials, and just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.